care of these things, would you?
He what?
All right, letter group.
Okay,
We're
you're saying
going
it's a
inside.
whistleblower, but you know it's classified documents. So
You want to help the
right to just leak whatever you want.
So you would have thought too that Daniel Ellsbury
Throw it away. He yelled at me when I litter, so.
I won't yell at you.
I mean, that, he
I think
released
there's
the
just a
Pentagon
couple of us
papers.
are
He's
going
supporting Bradley Manning.
First of all, we're ending the war in Afghanistan, and
Letter group.
But we're starting more.
We're ending, we're winding down the war in Afghanistan. If you think it's gonna, you want to make the United States look bad, you know, there's nothing in there that wasn't already known.
Is
It's
what?
obvious.
We're going in with the letter now? Oh, I gotta get this letter. Come on, Jonathan. We're going in with the letter.
Okay, great. You know, we've been doing this across the country. There's been protests all over, so we want to make sure that, you know, he knows that it's very important that, you know, he considers pardoning Bradley Manning. He's been in jail for over 800 days now.
Okay, yeah.
Without a trial, and this is like a big concern for a lot of
Jonathan?
peace activists, a lot of civil liberties people. So.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I will definitely pass this on to our headquarters here in St. Paul, and then I'm sure we'll pass that on to you know, the higher levels for sure, and you know, definitely appreciate what you guys are doing, and it's a part of the process.
We need a transparent society if we're going to save this planet.
Yeah, transparency.
And we're not going to save the planet the way we're going.
Yeah.
These wars, these lies, our country's turning into a new mafia, and that's not right.
Yeah.
We're going around the world trying to overtake places and make more access for our corporations to their resources and killing people in the process. This is not right.
And with regard to the war crimes, in today's New York Times and Washington Post, Human Rights Watch has found many more incidences of waterboarding than the CIA admitted.
Okay.
Because there's been no transparency and no whistleblower.
No. Okay.
So, but it's come out because it's in Libya and they've interviewed people, etc. So there's actually a call for new investigations because it's all been covered up at this point. And Eric Holder declined prosecution of all, even murders that were committed by U.S. troops. So here's the problem. They're prosecuting the whistleblowers about torture. There's a CIA guy who did get, who told the press about issues of torture. His name was Kiriakou. He's being prosecuted, but none of the people who committed the torture are being prosecuted.
Or encourage or
I mean,
ordered it.
it's incredible. Can you imagine what every country in the world thinks when you have committed egregious atrocities, and now you're prosecuting the people who tell about it as opposed to the people who did it?
And actually, in all honesty and in transparency, the administration has done more actually targeting whistleblowers has been the Obama administration. There's been no other administration in this United States history that has actually targeted whistleblowers rather than the people doing the crimes than the Obama administration. So if we're going to talk about honesty and transparency, and another question I have is that, in all honesty and transparency, is that why has the Obama administration taken more money from Goldman Sachs than any other candidate for president ever in this United States history, while the Romney administration takes more money from Bain Mutual? Because that's the reality of the so-called democracy we're living in right now.
$1 billion
It's a
business.
corporate democracy, corporate bought and sold and backed up. And that's the reality that we recognize.
Yeah.
And Wall Street
Based on
people,
the fact.
Occupy Wall Street recognized it too.
Yes.
That's what that movement was about, and you would think that people who are in middle positions of authority or up at the top would have the vision and the foresight to understand that we've got some problems. Let's talk to the people who are concerned about making a new social engagement. That's what Occupy was about. Instead, under Obama, he allowed people to be smashed.
Actually, the Obama administration targeted the Occupy movement with acts.
And,
With acts.
You know, with Bradley Manning, he was tortured, held in solitary
Yes.
confinement,
Still
stripped,
tortured.
naked.
Still being tortured.
The psychiatrist at the prison said he's not suicidal. There was more than one psychiatrist saying this. They have now found out it was a 3-star general that gave the order for this torture. So his attorney has made a motion, because if, under the law, if you are the victim of governmental torture, now you could basically say that, you know, I'm not to be prosecuted. So it's basically, they call it shock the conscience. So when the government commits a civil rights abuse that so shocks the conscience, then the remedy could be that he could be released. So Obama has what I'm saying here is that he has a perfect legal rationale now not to follow through on this very harsh court-martial prosecution, which they're asking for life. And then actually there is even the possibility of execution. So there's a perfectly good reason, because this has all been now very much revealed that he was the victim of terrible torture.
Yeah.
The UN guy, the UN reporter called it torture, etc. He was forced to stand naked. I mean, all these things.
Many days.
He got no mattress.
morning.
And they called it suicide watch, but the psychiatrists were saying he wasn't suicidal. So
And what-
anyways, it's probably a lot of it's in
Is
the
it?
letter.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to read it.
And by the
right,
way,
so-
we should mention that this young lady here is a actually world famous whistleblower, Colleen Raleigh, who was actually the whistleblower for the Minnesota FBI around the situation here after 9/11. Zacharias Moussaoui.
Oh, wow.
That's who that is. She's a world famous whistleblower now calling on the administration, on the Obama administration, to stop targeting whistleblowers.
Okay.
Ran for Congress in
Yes.
06 against John Klein.
Yes.
Okay. Underneath the Democrat.
This is not
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
This woman's got some creds with her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, like I said, I appreciate this. I'm definitely going to take a look at this. I'll pass it on.
And Daniel
Transparency is good.
Ellsberg, Daniel
Daniel
Ellsberg, who
Ellsberg.
released the Pentagon Papers, which helped to end the Vietnam War, has come out and stood on behalf of Bradley Manning and said that Bradley Manning is the Daniel Ellsberg of this era. He should be released. He should be honored. He did good.
And if the Democratic Party, as an institution, wants to continue gaining the reputation of being deeply involved in wars and war crimes, continue targeting the whistleblowers. Peace out. I'm done.
Great.
Thank you for accepting our communication.
Hey, no problem, guys. I will pass it
In
on.
California, they arrested the people for coming into the the Obama
Oh, yeah?
office.
Well, I would too out in Oakland. I was out there. I saw that. I was hoping they'd talk to arrested.
This guy in the red shorts, he was asking if we had Mitt Romney literature. He thought we were for Mitt Romney because we just want to bring this up to Obama.
They were at war. They were in agreement. They were fighting. They were fighting each other. That's different.
There's no declaration of war.
Where they were seceding from the Union, and they both agreed to fight each other.
They didn't agree to fight each other. They were breaking the law.
They had
said-
uniforms.
They said
to
we're
say which
leaving.
side they were on.
But you're saying that they should be convicted of, treason, and then you should have the right to arrest them and detain them. There's such thing as executive due process where you can say, you know what, this is a war zone. We can go after these, we can kill these people because they've taken up arms against the United
We
States.
also sent our drones after people when they misfired or they hit somebody in
That's
the
a
village.
tragedy.
They went in, yeah, that's a tragedy. And then the drone came back and struck the people who went in to rescue them. We sent drones on funeral groups. That's not okay. It's kind of like I don't believe in my country right or
my
wrong. I
question-
don't believe in our president right or wrong. I love this
Okay,
country.
my question. Okay, let me say it here. Okay, so our goal. I'm gonna ask you. Let's think rationally about this. Our goal is we don't want terrorism, and the stated goal for why the U.S. is engaged, as you see it around the world, and these are for security reasons to stop to target people who are plotting against the United States.
No, that's not what I say.
Okay, what is it?
Say mostly we're empire building. We went around the world.
Okay, so okay, all right, fair enough. So we're trying. Okay, even that. Let's accept that premise. We're empire building. Okay, so if you look at all the successful empires around societies and groups that took over other peoples, and successfully, at least for a time, incorporated them in. The Romans. What did they do? They went in, they took over. There was a war, but afterwards, they would, grant amnesty to people who would pledge allegiance. They would take the children of the elites of those countries and educate them in Rome. They wouldn't just go around, slaughtering civilians. There's a time for that before, but they wouldn't just go around slaughtering civilians and killing people and just trying to, annihilate these other groups in order to, secure territory as, after the war was over. So you're saying is, what are we doing here? Basically, the war in Iraq is winding down. The war in Afghanistan is winding down. So if our goal is to stop, okay, let me finish.
We're sneaking out there, leaving it in turmoil.
So, what would be our interest? Why would we want to just kill, why would we want to just slaughter? Use your critical thinking. Why would we want to slaughter? What would we what would we gain by covertly just wiping out remote villages in Pakistan and Afghanistan?
Manny, one of the things he gained, or Obama gained, by having a war on whistleblowers, is that then you scare the shit out of everybody else so that they don't tell
I'm saying,
on the government.
okay, so what would be the motivation for the U.S. government? What would be the Obama's administration's motivation to go and covertly, kill with drone strikes just innocent civilians and funeral processions and people with nothing
Are
to
you
do with
saying
it?
they isn't happening?
Well, what would be the motivation to do that?
I don't get it myself.
So
I don't get it, but it's
seeing as
and I don't agree with it. And
the
as
amount of effort to cover it up, to execute it.
Obama himself has said is information is power, and the truth cannot be hidden, and the legitimacy of governments ultimately depend on active and informed citizens. I mean, Bradley Mandy, protect whistleblowers. He's got the worst Obama.
Oh, go right ahead. Yeah, those are free now.
Whistleblowers right now.
Trying to get the
I want you. You're kind of sliding by my point. I'm saying, it's probably, there's nothing to be gained by,
Of course there is.
What?
The military, people that build the military equipment that the U.S. buys,
Oh, that's true.
and
Corporations.
they sell it to the people that we are going to fight eventually.
Right.
And there's a lot of money to be made, of course. And Obama needs to be reelected, so he needs their approval to get campaign contributions. I'm not saying I'm for Mitt. Of course, we laughed when you asked if we had Mitt Romney material, because, not one person.
Who do you think you're helping to elect by, saying?
Well, we are here to petition Obama.
I'm asking him if
We're saying, why can't you see how obvious it is that Bradley Manning should be released, pardoned, and I would say given a hero's treatment here in America.
What he has been tortured.
Well, I'll have to admit, I will admit this, and I will concede this. I don't know too much about the case. I know that what he's accused of, and what.
Jonathan, out of the way, bicycle.
Part of it is he hasn't been for a long. He was thrown in jail and tortured for like
800.
9 months.
Where are you getting all this information?
Online. Have you ever read Glenn Greenwald? That's Lon.com. Now he's at the Guardian.
There's something called a calendar that we can keep track of how many days since someone's been put in jail.
Well, being put in jail is not being tortured.
Put in jail, solitary confinement, forced to stand naked for months at a time, woken up, every 5 minutes and said, "Are you okay?" So he was sleep deprived. He was never allowed to sleep.
Naked, stripped naked. Not around.
The UN considered it torture. The way
the Secretary something or another of the UN, I almost put that quote on. I should have called it torture. The UN said this guy has been tortured, and the only reason he got now. I mean, he wasn't even charged at that time. They're trying to make it an example so no one ever talks against the government of whoever's in charge. They make it too scary. And
What are you doing right now?
Well, we are standing against that fear
you're talking
tactic.
about the
Yes.
government. Where's if your premise is true,
Fine,
where's the
put
silent
me in
rights
jail.
arresting you?
They could make me disappear.
They have that. Yeah, they could. You too, if they thought you were with us.
If they thought you were with us, but
Well, I mean, I guess
But
you. I mean,
I'm not that
I'm
worried,
telling you.
obviously, or I wouldn't be here.
Right. So doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of being here? If,
No.
there's a
aren't
lot of
disappearing?
people afraid to be here
I'm
that
not in the
would
armed
have been here.
services. I'm not in the armed services.
Yeah, if you're in the armed services, you don't speak out against the government, the commander in chief.
He wasn't speaking out against the other thing. He showed a video about American soldiers bombed. He did.
The difference between someone who's actually in the military.
He's never been tried. He's just
The
been
difference between
accused.
someone who's in the military, yeah, you give up rights by joining the military. That's you know that going in. You don't have the right to. You don't have the right to campaign. You can't.
They
wear your
also make
uniform.
agreements to the Constitution. And
Why not have a? Why not have? Why not let military members go on strike?
Lawyers supporting him. That's why civil liberties groups are saying this is wrong. You can't do that. They go after thank God, our civil liberties and try and protect them because so many of us are so well informed. But we have a media thanks to Clinton. I mean, I love him. I heard him speak last night. I mean, it's like the Greek siren. I listen to Clinton and I swoon practically. I love what he says. But what he did was, he did some horrible things. He passed NAFTA, which is stuff for outsourcing for this guy and for
So who represents the Mexican workers who make who are assembling cars in Toluca and selling them here, and they benefit economically?
I think you're interrupting.
So you're for nativism, that no, we shouldn't have any trade between countries?
I'm not going there. No, I'm just saying what Clinton, some of the things he did. I mean, I'm just saying Obama does the same. I mean, he has a silver tongue. I mean, I love what he says, but he hasn't followed through on what he said.
Look, if you say that if you look at
and one is like he said this.
You're saying all these people in other countries are getting
the 21st century. He said first right there with the three dots. In the 21st century, information is power. The truth cannot be hidden. The legitimacy of governments will ultimately depend on active and informed citizens. He was praising that part, that we should have active and informed citizens. Sure. And then he is known for being the worst administration in the entire history of our government on whistleblowers. There's a list of them. I think it's got like 6 or 7. I think under Bush there was like maybe.
Well, I think these are people. I mean, an active and informed citizens is a lot different than people leaking classified documents.
When there are documents that are embarrassing the government or showing the wrong.
So the government can't have.
It's about the wrongful. The video that went out.
There's people
the
who believe.
People were shot down. I mean, they were journalists who were killed. He showed a video.
Okay.
The video. That's what they're blaming
It was
Bradley
an
Manning
accident.
on.
Okay.
No, it wasn't an accident. They're recorded because there was a camera in there.
They were just gunning down journalists.
Yeah, that's why they're so pissed, because that information got out. That's why Obama is really pissed at him. And he doesn't want anybody else to ever think of doing that again.
And what about the van that came in to help the people?
If this happens, calm down. Okay. You think that the people are so callous that if you had friendly fight, intentional gunning down a journalist, I don't know, were they Western journalists? Were they American journalists?
Weren't they Reuters journalists?
Where were they? Were they third country?
Reuters, I mean.
They were third country nationals, natives of the country. I mean, what's the?
No, they were
Americans. What were they?
They were journalists. I can't remember the exact.
So you think Reuters is a huge news organization. I read their newswires occasionally.
That
I think
wasn't
it's a bunch of their journalists were gunned down by U.S. troops, and there's a videotape of it.
Other people.
Yeah.
And it showed the guys laughing. So let's go back and finish the job or something like that. It was really just.
Oh, and yeah, remember when the van shows up for people trying to help the people that were gunned down? And they opened up and killed everybody in the van, and then when the American soldiers showed up, said, "Hey, there's kids in here."
Yeah.
And they laughed and said, "Well, it serves them right for bringing kids to a war zone." No, they had kids because that was their home areas, not a war zone, but American. But
if you saw the tape, you wouldn't say it was an accident.
Nope.
I think it's not like I don't think you,
So
but I think you might be the one who's being naive here. I don't think you're informed
All right, let's
about.
all right.
And I don't mean that rudely. I just mean really look in your heart and figure out how to get some information. I can tell you some websites. And you can
Look, I don't want to see your websites.
It's not my website.
They're not
See, you don't want to see this side of the story, because you've been indoctrinated.
That's the other thing I wanted to say about one of the things that Clinton did under his administration. He put in Colin Powell's son in the FCC or something. They got through a thing whereby now we have a situation where it used to be that you couldn't own radio station, TV, and the newspaper all in the same city. They dropped all that stuff under Clinton. And because of that,
I'm telling you, if someone can break this story, my brother works for
if it's regular news media, it's not going to be broken. They censor our news. We get problems propaganda. Some of what we're getting is propaganda. And if you go outside the country, I was in.
Of course we're getting
I heard what?
You know,
I heard about the Iraq War before it even came up here.
Can you let
I
me?
was in Scotland.
Can you let me finish?
Sure.
All right. So like I hope for the day when governments don't need to have secrets anymore. I hope that happens.
You mean that we have transparency of how they govern?
Well, transparent. I mean, the government has to have some secrets. Can you at least concede that?
I'd say there's something about privacy there. I'd say there's certain things about privacy I appreciate.
So the government should have no secrets?
Secrets from the people, we who are...
So you should be...
We elect them, and then they can do whatever they want and
that what you're saying?
hide everything they do from us.
So the government should have no secrets. So we should just post, all our military technology, just put that up online, and everyone should have access to that. It's my taxpayer money funding it. I have the right to, see what it is, right? So we should have no secrets?
I would say there should be transparency so that we should know what they're doing in our name.
Yes, definitely.
I'm not saying it's not a careful balance, but I'm
so you're more looking at the like a patent on
it's a tricky balance.
on a certain weapon.
Yeah, so that should just be up online for.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if our company bombs any place, has casualties of any civilian, we should be able to know about that. So we know whether our tax dollars are funding the slaughter of civilians that had nothing to do with what they claim they are against.
All right. First of all, when you pay taxes to the government, it's going to fund things you don't support. That's not part of the deal.
But we can always...
If you don't like that, you can go live in,
No, it's not that we can go live.
Yeah.
We can address the government and say, we do not like it.
That's fine.
But if you're talking about a dictatorship that everybody that doesn't like what the government did can go. No, you're the one that said it can go.
Said if you don't want, if you disagree with having your tax dollars fund things you don't agree with, then that's I don't like. What's his name, Marcus Bachmann, and he had this BS with trying to cure gay people and Medicaid dollars for going to that. Well, I don't agree. I don't want my Medicaid. I pay, Medicare, Medicaid
But
taxes.
you heard about it. You found out about it. Information. That's what we're asking
There's
for.
all sorts of things that the government does that I don't like, that are waste, and I don't want my tax. If I had my druthers, we wouldn't be funding it. But the fact
everybody has that. Everybody feels that way about something.
Oh yeah, and so that doesn't matter.
So your point is, I guess
we want to know about it.
Dollars, so I shouldn't have to.
I never said that. That's your point. That's not my point. My point is, I think this President Obama needs to make amends for unlawfully torturing Bradley Manning, and he should let him go. He should give him a pardon and fess up. And I think he should stop the war on whistleblowers. I think that's really important. I think you need to have people who speak out when something is totally wrong. I mean, there's some high people in government that I think were in the FBI or the CIA. They said, wait a minute, this is wrong. What we're doing, this isn't moral. I said I'd protect the Constitution, and this is against the Constitution. I'm going to share it, and then we got a lot of trouble. They took him through a lot of. I mean, it was like, in the end, he was, justified by the courts or whatever. But in the meantime, he lost his money, his job. I mean, all kinds of things. And he's prosecuting him as a sign to keep people shut up, to be scared.
Yeah, if you're going to leak classified documents, but there's going to be a legal process.
How do you interrupt it?
Well, maybe they should have tried him in the